I am the great Bubbledoors, the wizard of the outdoors. I am charged with sacred chores, as one of heaven's mentors. Ad sum verum loci, abracadabra. Ad sum verum loci, abracadabra.
Kinda toasty out here. My name's Harry Carey. My friends call me Hank.
Hi, my name's Chirpy.
Listen up, everybody. I am here to tell you about the meaning of truth.
Is your message for the birds?
My message is for all who are cognitively conscious, for those who are rational, are social, and use a complex language as one of their patterns of survival.
I say, boy, you're talking about me. Yep, that boy there makes a lot of sense.
He does?
Let us assume we have an inner sense of truth. Let us assume further that this genomic feeling for truth began with the use of complex language. So, if you know when complex language arose, then you would know when our inner sense of truth arose. How many years ago do you think our use of a complex language arose?
100?
He's from Wyoming.
It would have to be some time after we began the making of tools, which began in Eastern Africa about 3.3 million years ago. An inner sense of truth could have begun sometime between 3 and 2 million years ago, and as tools were converted to weapons, and brain began selecting brain, then the cerebral cortex and interconnected networks within the brain rapidly increased. It was like runaway selection, and a genome for speech and truth continued to be selected as a mechanism of evolution, involving differential reproductive success. That is survival of the fittest, a term put forth by Herbert Spencer.
Yep. Survival of the Fittest by Herbert Spencer. Who's Herbert Spencer?
Herbert Spencer was a philosopher who used the term survival of the fittest in describing Darwin's seminal ideas about evolution. The ability to employ a complex language accompanied by an inner sense of truth provides a survival advantage. The use of language continued to evolve from 2 million years ago up to 200,000 years ago. Language assisted by an inner sense of truth is one of our precious patterns of survival. Language devoid of an inner sense of truth would be gibberish.
Yep. Brain selecting brain. Language and truth evolved together as a pattern of survival. Language with no truth would be gibberish. Yup. That makes a lot of sense, boy. A lot of sense.
It does?
Let me test your language skills. If I say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick?
100?
I was not testing your comprehension, which is associated with the Wernicke area of the cerebral cortex. I presented to you a tongue twister to test your verbal motor skills, which is associated with the Broca area of the cerebral cortex.
The question you asked did not have sufficient information to answer it. Is that fair?
Incomplete truths are not lies, but they can be unfair.
When a society treats a segment of the population unfairly, doesn't that injustice lead to cheating and lying?
Yes, by those who are prejudicial and by those victims of prejudice, who are desperately trying to survive and function within an unjust society.
I'd like to know where Peter Piper is picking those pickled peppers. I'd like to eat some.
Lie does not telling the truth become an ethical issue?
An ethical issue. Now that's a good question, boy. A good question.
One reason is that we have evolved to be social animals. Our sociality is an important strategy of survival. As social animals, we depend on each other. Wholesale lying would lead to wholesale distrust. There would be no goodwill toward your neighbor. You would not be able to believe anything your neighbor says, and they in turn would not believe what you have to say. Wholesale distrust would tear the very fabric of our society.
No goodwill toward your neighbor. That's not good, boy. Not good.
Goodwill toward thy neighbor is what the good book means by love thy neighbor as thyself. It was put forth more than 3,400 years ago, in the time of Moses, explicitly stated in Leviticus chapter 19, section 18. Also, collaborative sociality is not possible if a society is built on a foundation of lies. It is contrary to our being social animals, which is a Homo sapiens foundational pattern of survival that for our primate ancestors goes back 53 million years.
Aren't you being a little too didactic, Wizard Bubbledoors?
Yes, I am. But put up with it.
Yup, that's right. Gotta put up with it. Gotta put up with it, boy.
Having a reverence for the truth and disapproval of wholesale lying is a serious social issue. Within the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, sections 16 through 19, which was first penned during the reign of King Solomon, almost 3,000 years ago, it is stated that of the 7 things that the Lord finds detestable, 3 of them are associated with lying, particularly bearing false witness.
Is not abiding by the truth in violation of other patterns of survival?
Yes. We are a species that is dependent upon knowledge. Converting information into knowledge is another pattern of survival. Accumulating data is not knowledge. If a society engages in ubiquitous lying, then it would interfere with the ability to convert data into knowledge. The world of a cognitive, rational being would be chaos if it is devoid of coherence and correspondence.
Yep. Information is not knowledge. You need to abide by the truth to convert information to knowledge. You need coherence and correspondence. That makes a lot of sense, boy. What's coherence and correspondence?
They are measures of the truth. If I say Bubbledoors weighs more than Hank, and then say Hank weighs more than Chirpy, and then I say Chirpy weighs more than Bubbledoors, what is wrong with that?
Let's see, weighs more than Hank, weighs more than Chirpy, me and Chirpy have to eat more bananas?
The third statement does not logically cohere with the first 2 statements. If A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then C must be less than A. The 3 statements I made about the weights of me, you, and Chirpy do not cohere, so something in the statements is not true.
Yep, that's logic there, boy. Real logic. They don't cohere.
Now, let us suppose that I weighed myself and the weight was 80 pounds. Then I weighed Hank on the same scale and the weight was 2 pounds. Then I weighed Chirpy on the same scale and the weight was 2 ounces. Then I rechecked the weights several times and recorded them in my notebook. Now suppose Chirpy claimed she weighed more than Hank. What would be wrong with that?
I'd have to eat more bananas?
Actually, Chirpy's statement that she weighs more than Hank would not correspond to the facts. Hank's weight and Chirpy's weight are documented facts. Chirpy's claim is not in keeping with the facts as we know them to be. Chirpy's weight is known to be 2 ounces and Hank's weight is known to be 2 pounds. Chirpy's claim that she weighed more than Hank does not meet the criteria of correspondence.
Now, let's see. Coherence requires logical consistency. And correspondence requires in keeping with the facts. That's real knowledge, boy. Real knowledge.
Is there anything else that is unethical by not abiding by the truth?
Yes, there is. You see, there is an accepted property of nature, which is information cannot be transmitted faster than the speed of light. Thus, information sent requires a time lapse to be received. Thus, all information is received from the past. We cannot receive information from the future. Consequently, there is no truth in the future and no facts in the future, only probabilities of outcomes. But we must negotiate the future. It is the information from the past converted into knowledge by adhering to the truth that enables us to more safely negotiate the future.
We are limited by nature. We cannot receive information from the future, only from the past. There are no events in the future that are certainties, and those probable events, when viewed from the present, are not in the realm of facts or truths. There are only probabilities of outcomes in the future.
Hank seems to understand the idea that we are not omniscient. Why do liars make me angry?
Hank explained it better than I did. Regarding your question, you have good reasons to be angry. Lies can disrupt our ability to exist as social animals. Our sociality is one of the oldest and most consistent of our patterns of survival. The mistrust sowed by lies can tear apart the very fabric of our society. But also, by adhering to the truth, it enhances the probabilities that our future actions will result in more favorable outcomes. It enhances our understanding of what is more likely to happen in the future. Wholesale lying could threaten our survivability in the realm of the future. That is one of the reasons we have evolved a feeling of contempt for liars and hypocrites.
Are we limited by our evolution? Are we limited by how we came to be?
Yes, not only are we limited by physical laws, as we understand them, but we are limited by how we evolved. Selection of our genomes by the criteria of survivability has taken place in the realm of phenomena and has allowed us to continue to exist. However, our evolution has imposed the biological limitations of the realm of the phenomena. To overcome our biological limitations, and the limitations imposed upon us by the physical world, we must further our understanding of ourselves within the realm of the phenomena and somehow outside of our evolution, which is within the realm of the noumena. To do that, we must revere and adhere to the truth.
I can see that adhering to the truth is a serious business. I truly appreciate your increasing my understanding of the truth. Thank you, Wizard Bubbledoor. Thank you very much.
Well, boy, I'm glad you visited the Enchanted Forest to tell us about what truth is and why we need to revere the truth. Yep, I feel a lot smarter. A lot smarter. By the way, what is didactic?
You're welcome. You're very welcome. I, Bubbledoor, will now traverse the land and bring forth the truth we should all demand. I will go forward and relate this tale. It is heaven's wish that the truth prevails. Verum locutus sum. Abracadabra. Verum locutus sum. Abracadabra.
Wizard Bubbledoors leaves with a bang. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trading in my boots and spurs and heading for the Big Sur.
Hank is leaving for California.